This is the ATI Podcast.
Welcome everybody to the ATI Podcast. Hell, I don't even know the name of my own show. ATI Podcast. There we go. I was too busy thinking about Wayne's World. That little discussion before we got started. So thanks everybody for tuning in on the ATI Podcast. Barrett Lewis here, launching season 2, episode 1. Got Ridge by my side. You guys know him. And we have members from one of our favorite heavy bands. See you next Tuesday. Guys, we are so happy to have you, both Drew and Jimmy Blastbeats.
We're happy to be here. Thanks for letting us be on this, man. Thank you.
Absolutely. It's a total pleasure. And so we're going to be encouraging some watcher participation as well. We're live streaming on Twitch, and we're going to be looking out. Anybody who is on our Twitch feed, welcome to ask a question. We'll try to work it in naturally while we're talking today. But anybody, all of our fans, people that watch us, listen to us, you guys kind of know we just like to shoot the shit with everybody and be real and have real conversations. So that's what we're going to get into here, guys. Lots to cover with you. I know it's been about 15 years since the last album. What have you been doing? Where have you been at?
Well, all right. Man, I tell this one a lot. No, it's okay. Yeah. Well, we all kind of did our own thing, you know, come the disbanding. Obviously, Jimmy wasn't part of us yet. We always knew it was going to happen. It was just a matter of time. No. Yeah, when we disbanded, you know, it was just, you know, it was a string of bad luck. And, you know, like, we got seized in the Canadian border for some shit. And we had some, you know, expenses come up and a broken trailer axle. And, you know, just one thing after another. And, like, you know, Fox was a tattooer, you know, and he had like another career that was basically beating down the door, waiting to like flourish. Yeah. Which, I mean, now he's a successful tattoo shop owner, and he's an extraordinary artist. So I mean, it's not like he'll never admit that, but I think he's very talented because I can't do that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Agreed.
So yeah, we were just like, you know, fuck it, I guess we'll take a break. And, you know, a break turned into, you know, a while.
Yeah, quite the sabbatical.
We all did different stuff, especially because when we first disbanded, it was different members. You know, for example,
right.
Travis didn't come back with us the second go around.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, he works as a graphics designer for some hot ass furniture brand out of Detroit. I don't even know the name, but he's really good at it. Looks like he does well for himself. He wears cardigans in the summer.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
I see. You're drinking the picky up.
Exactly.
Fancy boy.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, when we got some offers for some random shows over the years, we ended up doing a couple in like 2015, 2016, 2018. The members that reformed were Rick, which was one of our earlier bass players back when Barrett was still in the band. Right when we first started doing our touring, like our tour with Robinson, Heavy Heavy Low Low, and stuff like that was when Rick was in the band. Yeah, man.
Yeah, so whenever you guys started doing those reunion shows in like 2015. I mean, what was so alluring about that offer to come back together? Were you guys just like itching to play together, or was there other driving forces?
Weirdly enough, it was kind of one of those fate moments.
Okay.
I sold off all my See Next Tuesday gear when we first disbanded because I was broke as fuck. I'd moved back in with my mom, and it's embarrassing. You know, it's tough. going from, touring and making it from tour to tour, from gig to gig. I didn't live a lavish lifestyle. I made it by, but I lived on the road, and it was awesome, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. But, I'm sorry, I keep losing my train of thought.
No, it's okay. Well, the point I want to get to eventually is I think that it's kind of innately American that everybody loves a good comeback story. I know I do. And it's just awesome to see you guys back together.
Yeah, the Robin. That's right. That's what it was. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. I remember what I was doing. The Robin. The pink guitar.
No?
I'm sure a lot of people had seen me in pictures use that guitar at some point. I had sold it off to a friend of mine, James LaCroix, who actually makes a voice appearance on Distractions. I sold it off to James, and we randomly crossed paths and rekindled our friendship, and he sold me back the guitar, which I have since sold to Rick because it wasn't for me anymore. But I got that guitar back, and that was the driving force of playing those shows. It was just kind of like one of those, I guess it's kind of fate, whatever, if you believe in that kind of thing. I never thought that he would have turned around and sold it back to me, or he'd even hang on to it. And it was actually he never touched it. He literally just bought it. Never changed the strings from the last show at Max Bar in Lansing.
Wow. Oh wow.
And it was it was one of those moments where I was like, "Oh, come and give me a hug."
Yeah.
And like I bought this back. Yeah, I bought it back from him and shit, and
Very cool.
That's not why I started writing a record, but that's why we at least started playing some shows again. That was the driving force, I guess, there. So sorry to interrupt. Like 10 minutes.
No, it's okay. Yeah, it totally sounds like a kind of a culmination of events and moments.
I don't have the greatest chain of thought type of thing, so sometimes I will just say, like, where was I? James,
it's all good
out there, all right?
I'm the same exact way. I understand.
Yeah, and I know I definitely want to devote a good amount of time talking about the new album and everything that's in the works present day with you guys.
For sure.
But I would hate the old fan in me not to touch on a few old things.
Oh yeah.
While we got you, and just for our audience, if they don't know the history of See You Next Tuesday, if they're seeing you guys for the first time, hearing of you guys for the first time, kind of talk about the formation of the band initially. Because I've read in some places it was a joke and this and that. Like, how did it come together? And then, obviously, kind of, I think what kind of, at least to us, drew us to you guys was kind of your brand of humor too, and your merchandising. With having cunt on your merchandise. Yeah. We were early college age kids at the time, and it just screamed at us. So
well, I mean that's the joke, right?
Yeah.
Right. And I didn't want to sound like a marketing dweeb, but it's like the name is like somewhat stupid, but mostly funny. And to the degree that like, that in itself was the joke, I mean, and it worked. Like literally people would be like, oh, that band name is clever and also offensive simultaneously. But you could also hear the name See You Next Tuesday and be like, what do they play, pop punk? That's cute. That's a nice name. And then, sure. Do like, 8 Dead, 9 for Count the Fetus, And I mean so I mean that's the level of joke. I always took it serious as like a musicianship, like I've always been I mean, I've always been someone that practices a lot, I mean, I don't know how else to say that,
well, I mean, I know certainly I could speak for us as fans, what drew us to you, as I mentioned, was, some of the merchandise and things like that. But, we stayed once we heard the music, and your guitar work in particular, Drew. The musicality's always been there, regardless of how much of a joke it is or isn't or has been.
Well, that's not what I was
musicality's always been there.
That's not what I was trying to say. What I mean is like, like if you put in the time to practice, even if I'm not as good as you guys say I am, at least, like if you put in the time, at least I'm taking that serious. You can't practice a shitload at an instrument, get good at it, and then not take that seriously. But there's got to be some sort of avenue of novelty in a band that makes it interesting. Because, being in a band isn't just standing on stage and playing music. what separates, a band from a band performing is literally the performance. Like going
Right.
to a live concert should not sound like the record.
Sure.
And some people will shoot me for saying that, but there's a lot of two guitar stuff on all three records.
Right.
More so on Distractions than anything else. There's also a lot of. Have you guys heard it, by the way?
Yes, sir. We had
Okay.
the pleasure of pre-screening
Good.
it, so thank you very
Good.
much for that.
Yes,
Your team, Alexa did a great job.
She's wonderful. I love her.
Yes,
She's great.
so fantastic. Yeah,
Yes,
and
thank
it's
you, Alexa.
stellar.
Yes. So yeah. Where were we? Oh, being proficient. What were we talking about, Jimmy?
Yes. Well, I was going to say, that's kind of emphatically like what your band has been, though, too, is fun. Yes,
Yeah,
you
performance.
guys are
Yeah.
musicians.
That
But,
juxtaposition between being wacky and being performers, but also being
Right.
proficient at your instrument.
Right.
Lady Gaga is an amazing singer, even though, at the start of her career, she wore fucked up, Beetlejuice looking outfits. But,
Right.
that's the shtick. But,
Yeah.
and it is what it is, I mean, that's the shtick of it all is what, kind of branded
Right.
us as a MySpace band and not like a serious grindcore band. But, it is what it is, man. And
Yeah.
I was 20 something and it was a fuckload of fun and they're funny and naming songs after song titles because it's
Yeah,
funny. I don't know, man.
absolutely. Well, I mean, that's the thing that gets lost nowadays, too. Even kids that are playing music is, you should take it seriously if you want to be a musician.
And here's the thing. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. It's okay.
I was going to say, the thing about the song titles, too, is they were always a nod to unoriginality. I've always been a firm believer that, a lot has been done, and especially in metal, you know what I mean? Because, the
Definitely.
greats, the big innovators, like Sabbath and Pantera, Metallica,
Right.
They've already gone and passed. Everything else is just an extrapolation from that to some
Sure.
degree.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously there are still people breaking new ground, and that is insane to think about in 2023. But I love that,
Absolutely.
Anyway,
Well-
not to that from stealing song titles that are just quotes from TV. That's my nod to the appreciation.
Without question. And again, having fun with your music, that's just paramount. That's what music should be. I can't encourage people enough. If you're practicing, let's make it fun. If you want to make a career of it, it's got to be fun. Otherwise, it's not going to stick with you. And
Right.
I think you guys were the embodiment, at least to us, again, as fans, we're the embodiment of that back in the day. And certainly an aspect of what Drew is to you.
Huh.
And I noticed over the years, too, you guys were kind of painted with multiple genre brushes, by various people. Some,
Always have
the
been.
death grind, metalcore, all that type of stuff. Was there ever a specific intention to stay in a certain lane with genre or influences that you can kind of detail? Because honestly, again, as fans, we're kind of marks, I guess, for you guys. But, we felt like there was quite a bit of originality to you. But maybe that's because of multiple influences.
That's the tough thing with being in a band that came up in a time of uncategorizable genres. That
Yeah.
whole mathcore,
Yeah.
Into the Moat, Psyopus,
Exactly.
Sawtooth Grin, Number 12 Looks Like You, Daughters.
Yep.
What do you call them? Hardcore? Mathcore?
Right.
Some of us are heavier than others. You know what I mean? Sawtooth
Sure.
Grin is still fucking intense, man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not doing it in drop A with 3 stages of gain like I do. But I'm a stupid savage when it comes to that stuff. So that's the decision I made. And that's my production nightmare to deal with, not theirs.
Yeah, that's your cross to bear.
So yeah, man, it's just it's like a variety act. What do you call a variety act when it comes to a wedding band? You're just like, oh,
Sure.
You hired a band? What kind of music are they? Oh, they're a variety. Oh, okay, so that they're going to play top 100, no matter what it is at the time.
Sure.
If you hired them in Mexico, it'd be the top 100 in Mexico. It is
Right.
just what it is. That's what a variety band is. But what do you categorize a variety band in in metal.
Sure.
Right, because metal has so many genres. If you include or exclude the wrong one, like you get fucking castrated.
Right,
but
sure.
I always explained it this way. Like I've always been like fast, intense grindcore stuff. Well, whether it be more modernized Sawtooth Grin, Robinson stuff. Or more of the classic Rotten Sound, Regurgitate. They're both my favorites. I ingest them both. I don't think of them on a spectrum as one less or more grind. Like to me, and they're just fucking insane in short bursts, and that's what that means to me. So I mean, am I making it up? Sure, someone's probably out there like false grind.
Hashtag false grind on these motherfuckers.
Yeah, exactly. But and that's fine. I accept that too. Because here's the thing. This is what I'm literally about to say. Is I've always said that See You Next Tuesday is about 51% grind. Like if I was going to be in a custody battle with genres, grindcore would probably win. The judge would just look at the paperwork and be like, "Well, we're teetering on 50.7%, which I feel like is the majority here.
Yeah.
We'll give it to grindcore. But, we also splash in X.
Yeah, I think a lot of bands fall victim to, based on the time that they kind of blew out or came out. It's particularly in your guys' case, you already mentioned some of these bands, but a lot of these other bands came out about the same time. Into the Moat, Daughters, Number 12 Looks Like You, Heavy, Low, Low.
Incredible bands.
Acacia Strain. All those guys came out about the same time, and a lot of comparisons were made, across the field. But I always felt like you guys stood out because you did implement various degrees of things. Like I can go back to Dedication, and it was kind of doomy, Dedication to a New Era on the Intervals album, and that to me just like that was my favorite song of your guys for a while, and it didn't sound anything else like any of your other songs. So like I appreciate the variety because I'm a guy who likes his variety. I got to have 5 hot sauces at dinner in front of me.
Oh shit, dude! That's how I'm at barbecue joints. I'm like, just fucking bring me the carousel.
Absolutely.
Brown, that was a little too vinegary. Let's do it, man.
Yeah, but I kind of look at you guys.
Music genres.
You guys at that time too, kind of like a falling star, if you will, in the sense that you guys were very bright and stood out from everybody else. And that's why you guys have stuck with us over the time. And so when we saw you guys were coming back together, it's just like this is the type of comeback story we want to see. Well,
thank you. You're making me flustered over here. I'm sorry to lose concentration. I don't generally get this many barrage of compliments, so I appreciate you for one. Was there a question in there?
Well, no, I just wanted to make a statement while I had a chance. Because you're kind of taking my questions out from under me. You're just doing such a good job with your answers there.
I'm sorry.
But it's okay. How dare you, right?
I know. Gosh. Jeez Louise.
So, of course, let's fast forward to today. We got Jimmy Blastbeats here with us. Jimmy, were you a fan before you joined the band? How did you get involved with things?
So a long time ago, back in 2005, I was in a band from here in Ohio, where I'm from, called the Heartland, and we went up and played a show at Rick's mom's garage called the Vag, the very awesome garage.
Nice.
And we were going to do a fun little weekend with those guys. It was us, See You Next Tuesday, and we were going to... There it is.
Do we have a recording?
Yeah, they're on Spotify. They're
okay.
A super sick band. John's the guitar player, also a really good close friend of ours. So.
Oh yeah,
love you, John. Hope you're watching.
I hope he is too. If not, we're just gonna give him a huge hug next week.
Hell yeah.
But anyway, we were coming up to play a show. We played the show with the guys. And we were going to go do a small little weekend, and unfortunately we got hit with some bad weather. And when we were on our way to the next show, we were on our way to the next show, our camp went off the road, and so we didn't make it to that the rest of those dates, we just, put our tail between our legs and went home. So, yes, I was a fan. John was like, hey, we're going to go play in Michigan this weekend with these guys called See You Next Tuesday, and here's what they sound like. And 8 Dead, 9 If You Count the Fetus comes on, and I'm like, this is sick. Awesome. Let's go do that. So, yes, I was a fan in the beginning and just kind of kept in touch with everybody over the years, mainly Rick. And, Rick actually was the one who asked me if I would be interested in doing the gig. So,
hell yeah.
I thought he was punking me at first because I was flabbergasted that Andy wasn't involved. And but I talked with Drew, and he kind of gave me the lowdown, and we discussed stuff, and here I am.
Well, I gotta make a mention of this too. So, not to get too in the weeds too quick, but I know that Drew, you wrote a lot of the record yourself, and very talented person, able to play multiple instruments, and tracked a lot of the album Distractions that comes out tomorrow. But I got to ask you, Jimmy, what the hell's this son of a bitch doing to you on drums? Because those BPMs and some of those songs, those crazy beats, you got to produce that shit live, my man. I trying to give you a heart attack?
He definitely gave me a run for my money. There's still a lot of stuff that I haven't even attempted to try and play yet from the record. And
currently we're only playing 4 songs live. So
but it's fun. That's for sure.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's a great fun listen, guys. Our listeners, let's check out Distractions. It releases tomorrow, Friday, February 17th. It's got 13 tracks. Total runtime, I counted at 27 minutes, 59 seconds. It's going to be available on all streaming platforms. So it's a good, quick, easy listen. And I know it's being released in association with Good Fight Music. How did the relationship with Good Fight Music come about?
It's Rick and Carl from Ferret. So it's just kind of...
okay, nice.
Yeah. Ferret was absorbed by Warner Brothers or whatever. I don't know if absorbed's the right word, but, they were...
Right.
So, yeah, and then Good Fight was just their next venture. And it was one of those things where, over the years, we've always just kept in touch with them. Just random things. Just band stuff, I guess, just anytime something popped up and blah, 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 blah. So when we were actually enough into the record process, Fox and I were the only two that were on the record, unfortunately. But either way, go ahead.
I was going to ask about, specifically the first single that you guys had released was Hey Look No Crying, right?
Yeah, yep.
And excellent song, stellar video. I recommend folks checking it out. It is on YouTube. Why did you guys choose that as the first single?
I felt that song was probably the only song on the record that gave a nod to our older stuff.
Okay.
Like if you were to, obviously
I can see that.
You've heard the whole record, so
right.
Like there's an underlying See You Next Tuesday vibe. Like you can definitely tell that my brain had some stuff to do with this record. As it did with Parasite and Intervals. But yeah, Hey Look just was one of those songs where it's just like, it's got the breakdown. It's like one of 2 in the entire record, if you even can call it that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got the more like metal aspects than grindy aspects, even though I think it's got some nice little grindy moments to her. But I just felt it was a good choice for like, I didn't feel like we were going to come back and be like, I thought we'd come back and like 16 people would be like, yeah, I remember that band. So I figured those people would want to hear something that, that reminded them of the yesteryears. So that was my attempt at giving, the 16 people waiting for us to put a record.
Well, you mentioning some of the, those 16 people. What has the feedback been like for you guys? Have you guys been getting an outpouring of support? What's it been like?
Ridiculous.
Excitement, a lot of excitement.
That's awesome.
Right,
I'm glad to hear it, for sure.
You're already on your second pressing of the record, so that's
yeah, that should tell you
that's
something,
big.
right?
That's why
it's overwhelming. Like, it leaves me speechless just thinking about it. Like, just people on the internet are nice.
Yeah, it's kind of rare, actually, whenever people are nice to you on the internet, though.
Yeah, and, that says, I feel like that says a lot. Like,
it does. Yeah, for sure.
Of course, Lambgoat, like if you go to lambgoat.com and still read comments, which Jimmy can't, he gets real mad. My wife thinks it's fucking hilarious, though. If you guys read, you go to Lambgoat ever and read their comments.
I used to. It's a while, but man.
It's not changed at all in 15 years. Like, it's the same fucking dudes, but they're hilarious. Like, some of the shit they come up with, man, I'm just like, oh, man, you guys, are you stand-up comedians by day?
Yeah.
But,
I just heard a really funny one, actually. I think it was one of the guys from Alexis on Fire was reading comments from Lambgoat, wasn't it? And they make music for 35-year-old dudes that need to take a vacation day to come see them play. And see them over 35-year-old dudes to sit up here and cry about their lives. I was like, wow. And he was like, I'll take that one.
Yeah, fuck it, I'll take it.
Yeah. So it was pretty funny. And we had one vacation days.
we had one that was like the Denny's line cooks are going to be mad when all four of these guys take the same shift off.
Wasn't it something about the AutoZone break room or something?
Yeah, said our photo looked like we took it at the AutoZone break room or something. I'm like, man, you guys are too cool. I understand that it has to be an anonymous platform, otherwise it wouldn't be even close to as funny. But man, I wish I could just reach out to those people and just be like, man, thanks for that. That made not only my day, but my wife's day. Like, I shared that stuff over dinner.
That's fantastic. Well, getting back to the comments of kind of what's it's been like since you guys have gotten back together. I know I've seen a lot of early reviews piling in on Distractions. You guys got an 8.7 out of 10 through Metal Trenches. Metal Epidemic, 4.5 out of 5. Distorted Sound Magazine gave you guys a 9 out of 10. Yeah. I mean, you guys are getting the praise, and I think it's well deserved.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's crazy.
I want to get into some of the writing of the record too, Drew, and I know a lot of that laid on your plate. When it came to actually formulating the lyrics, was that you putting together the lyrics?
No, unfortunately, that was all Fox. Yeah,
Fox did that.
He 100% conceptualized, wrote, and did the lyrics. There's a tiny little scream here and there that I do. I do some of the crowd stuff throughout the record and stuff. But yeah, I mean, all the voices and stuff you hear in the record, those are all like co-workers and past members and stuff. My wife's on there.
Yeah.
Everything you hear on the record I created. I didn't steal anything.
That's awesome.
That's fantastic.
And I know that you did everything short of the final mastering of the album. Is that correct too, Drew?
Yeah, the production and mixing and stuff, I did all that. And then I felt it was kind of like one of those full circle thingy-majigs to hand it off to... Well, I knew going into it mastering had to be done by somebody else. I didn't...
Sure.
I felt that, my ears are only so good. Someone else's has to be on it at some point, and why not that be the mastering? Since I had zero experience doing it anyhow, so that makes sense.
Sure.
Josh Schroeder, actually, one of his first recordings he's ever done was in the basement of his in-laws' house here in Bay City, Michigan. He lives in the town I deliver mail in, actually, in Midland, Michigan.
Okay.
And, it just happens that he became a wildly successful, producer and recording studio. So, but yeah, man, I just knew I had to hand it off to him. And he was, same response. Like, I sent him a message, just like, hey, Josh, so I'm writing this record. And he's like, what? Excuse me, what? And I was like, would you be interested in mastering it? He's like, yep, I don't care if Good Fight gives me $50. I will absolutely do it. So They gave him
awesome.
more than that. He deserved it. So.
I had a chance to read over some of the lyrics too on the album, and I felt like, along with the music, there's clearly a progression of you guys as a band and sound. And there's some like wildly awesome lyrics on this album.
Yeah, you have to thank Fox for that. Yeah,
and in particular, one that really stood out to me was "I Had the Craziest Dream." That actually has just some insanely beautiful and charming moments. Like I didn't expect that from you guys, quite frankly.
Yeah, when Fox, it was funny because those like stab parts, and he says something real pretty over top of it.
Yeah,
I actually, I didn't.
It's a nice contrast.
I didn't love the juxtaposition at first, and I remember like talking to him on the phone. Him and I butted heads in a very weirdly constructive way. Like we would have fits with each other, but the end result was good because of it, I think. You know what I mean? Like it took two artists to disagree with stuff to come to something good. But that was that again, that juxtaposition that he did in that song. I did not love it. And it wasn't until he kind of described it in a different way. Like after we were recording it and I was like, And then I listened to it a couple times, and I was like, So then I called him about it, and he's like, listen, it's like this. And I'm like, all right, well, I'll listen to it again. And I was like, it's fine. It works. Absolutely. Somebody out there is going to appreciate it, and you definitely did. So
yeah, I did. It stood out to me. So 1 point for Fox in the column right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, somebody text him. Tell him.
And I know, like...
Is anybody watching? Can you tell?
Yes, actually. We got the Twitch people over at
It's the 16 people.
Yeah.
I hope so. Ryan, Peter, Ty, Andrew. Guys that we know that have two first names.
Yeah, we've just got pretty
Canadians,
much people kind of cheering us along at the moment. No explicit
questions.
All right,
well, if somebody out there knows Fox, text him and be like, Drew just complimented you on live internet. And he'll be like, I don't believe it.
It'll be out there forever.
Yeah, we do have somebody named Batman.
Like actual.
I don't. Somebody who believes they're Batman. I don't know.
That's pretty wild, man.
I like that.
Yeah. Drew, I got to ask you, with so much being on your plate with writing the album, was it kind of difficult? Did you ever have those Brian Wilson, Jimi Hendrix, Jim Morrison moments where you kind of just kept tweaking ad nauseum? Did you have to kind of walk away at times? Kind of talk me through some of the madness that you went through.
All of the above.
Yeah.
I spent damn near 2 years writing it. I started in December of 2020. I started writing it somewhere in there, like October, somewhere between October and December of 2020. And I finished it and handed it over to Josh Schroeder June 1st of 22. So, yeah, everything. I mean, I had great days where, an idea came to fruition easily.
Yeah.
And I had days where, I recorded literally 3 seconds of a song and listened to that on repeat for 8 hours because I'm fucking insane. Also, I'm a mailman, so I walk 8 miles a day for a living. I wear earbuds and I listen to a lot of music. I talk to Jimmy on the phone all the time. He also works in the job that you can do that. Don't tell Chase Bank.
We'll bleep out the bank mention.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. What was your question? Something about me?
Well,
writing?
with it all being on your plate, I mean that's a heavy burden.
It wasn't on my plate though. I mean, I chose to do it. It wasn't like the dudes were pressuring me. I fucking decided to write some music. It wasn't until I was a handful of songs in that the rest of the dudes even really gave a shit. Because I wasn't.
Yeah.
Everything kind of started as a tweaking project. I bought myself a new guitar, worked really hard, a bunch of shit happened, and for Christmas of 2020 during COVID, I bought myself this PRS. And my wife was super awesome, and she just you deserve something, so I did. And in the house I have, I have some you see like studio foam.
Yeah.
Right. So there's like some stuff in my room. I had stuff, like I'm an adult, and, I'm 40 in a month. I buy stuff. So like I've had stuff. I've actually been, I make electronic music. I've been doing that, DJing and stuff for years, and, bluegrass and stuff and what have you. So, I mean, I've always been kind of recording stuff and having fun, and this really just started as a project. Like, okay, I'm going to buy an HM2 because that's what Rod and Sound does. So I'm shooting. And, I'm like, but I don't want it to sound like an HM2. I want it to sound like something different. But, probably as close to Slipknot as I can make an HM2 sound, because Slipknot always sounds good. So we'll just do that. And I just fucked with it for a really long time. And it really wasn't until I got like 2 or 3 songs in that I found a sound and had to go back and re-record shit.
Yeah.
Even still, even still, there's sections of songs where like the original recordings, like the worst, the not as good a guitar tone in my opinion and stuff. Like some of that stuff I kept just because like I liked the variety. I didn't want the record to sound the same throughout the whole thing. It's a journey type of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know coming back to doing stuff like this.
Look at this.
Oh yeah, look at
this
that.
This is Hazel.
Say
hi.
What a beautiful little
hi,
picture.
baby.
That's my wake up buddy when I stay the night.
All right.
She is too. She's a little cutie. She's a Chiweenie. She's
okay.
Chihuahua wiener dog. She basically just looks like a wiener with long legs and lots of hair. All right, get out of here. That's work.
We're always about
Dance
to pet
work
on the show for sure.
I love doggies. We got a lot of grind dogs in the band, so.
Another moment it kind of stuck with me on the album is the last track, of course. It's a 7-minute plus track. Again, you're kind of getting in the doomy realm there here on Distractions with the last track, Strange Music. And, it's kind of a fitting end to the album, I felt like, as well.
Thank you.
Is that something that came to you early on in the songwriting process, or is that something that came later?
It ran parallel to the entire writing of the record, pretty much.
Okay.
Right around what I was talking about, 3-4 songs in, I think it was right around the time I wrote Hey Look I'm Crying, actually, is when I wrote that acoustic intro thing in Strange Music. And from there, I joked with my wife, I called that song My Distraction from My Distraction. Because, just writing the songs and distractions were distracting me in a good way. It was distracting me. Excuse me. I'm getting burpy over here. I had Jets Pizza to celebrate. I don't know if you guys have Jets. Where are you guys from?
We do not. No, we're in Missouri, actually, southeast Missouri.
Near St.
Okay.
Yeah. We're kind of lame, rural. It's only corporate pizza around here.
Yeah, well, Jets is, I think they're, I don't know if they are, but they're a Detroit company, but I know they're in, Florida, too. But anyway, it's basically deep-fried pizza. It's fucking awesome.
Shit.
No, I apologize. I had four slices. Jimmy knows the pain I am in.
The acid reflux gets to you in the older age.
Yeah. Cheese, just makes you
Drew just doesn't know how to stop. He will just go and go.
It's like it's literally crack
kind of
cocaine to me. Pizza is crack cocaine, especially Jets, man. I know.
Drew, didn't you or don't you have a pizza tattoo over your navel?
Yeah, across my gut, I have an Old English tattoo of pizza. Yeah, I've always been a pizza connoisseur.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, exactly.
A man after my own heart.
But yeah, so distractions. I was, the writing of this was my my escape. Not to get too into it, but I had the last drink of alcohol in October 19th of 2020. So I haven't had any alcohol since, and
good for you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that, and I'm proud of it. It's just weird to talk about.
You should be.
But yeah, I mean, 2020 was shit for everybody. Let's not just blow past that.
Sure.
It was a culmination of fucking bullshit after bullshit. And, you know, I was a mailman, and that was hard. And my wife was sitting at home, who also, you know, took to the liquor. And, you know, it is what it is. I you know, I'm not gonna hide it. She found the strength. She fucking got us help. You know, she went and sought help, and I quickly followed suit within 3 days. So, yeah, man. So that I would, if anyone is curious, my wife does merch for us on tour, which we'll be doing next week with Bandit. And if you like the record, tell her thanks, because if it wasn't for her, she wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have written this record. I'd still be drinking, and who knows what I'd be fucking doing.
Well, a good support system is everything, man. For sure,
exactly.
Without question. I don't care what your addictions are.
Yeah. Thanks.
Big shouts out to Lauren.
Yeah, Lauren Slavik, everybody. She also she did the photo for the cover art. So
okay,
hell yeah. She sings on the record too, on one of the Isle songs. I don't remember which one.
Okay.
We call them the Isle songs because they're like those two songs were my attempt in intermission. That's
when I was looking through the credits, I did notice a lot of names, and that kind of goes back to there's some. And I don't want to pass over this point either. I think this record is wildly ambitious in many ways, but in a good way. And it kind of follows suit with your other releases. There's just a progression in the musicality and everything.
Thank you.
And you know, you're implementing some synths and things that you didn't necessarily do in the past. Noise. There's these where you hear the kind of these menial conversations going on in the background as well. A lot of various voices on the track, as you've detailed. And I mean, there's really an atmosphere that you're generating with a lot of this. I feel like, at least me as a listener, it's kind of disorienting, but it's the kind that captivates you. Right. You know, it's kind of like a car wreck. You see a car wreck, you can't help but look in most instances. And you want to see what this leads to. And there's a lot of good payoffs on the record as well.
Thank you.
And I just want to highlight the production too that you guys are, and the approach that you've taken specifically. There's a lot of, you can just hear it. If you're a musician, you can hear the layers of work that's behind this without question.
Well, thank you. I mean,
and
it's fucking nice, man.
let's get into some of the newer lineup as well. Jimmy, I know you're a newer member in the band. What's the band dynamic like? How much of a dick is Drew? Give us all the dirt.
He's not a dick at all.
That's good.
No one in this band is a dick to each other.
That's good. That's a good start.
It's a very comfortable atmosphere, and you know, especially, you know, we tour in a Toyota RAV4, so we're in very close proximity at all times. So you know, you can't be an asshole to someone and just sit that close to them. So
there's lots of farts, which fucking sucks.
Yeah, I hear you on that.
Lots of farts. But you know, no, it's great. I'm having a good time.
Well, I know that Jimmy, you kind of live a bit of a distance from Drew. Kind of, what's the plan once you guys are on tour? You guys going to do some rehearsals, or what's the idea about getting the tour together? And
so, what we basically do, it's kind of funny. You know, Fox and Rick live about an hour and a half away from Drew, and I live 4 hours away from Drew. So
it's closer to 4.5, 5 almost, really. Yeah. It's not an easy drive.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But, you know, it's funny. I joined the band in June of last year, and you know, we've practiced, you know, between Drew's house and my house well over 10, 12 times, you know, in that time frame, I think. And prepping
the songs
for
are not
shows.
Necessarily easy to just like...
Right, just slap together. I agree.
So, like this past weekend, the guys were here. Well, Drew and Rick were here, and we, you know, hit the new songs that we've been doing in the set list a good handful of times. We actually put in a new tune that's not new, but you know, new to the set list of what we're playing of an old song. So, you know, I had to learn that. You know, over the weekend, and you know, we don't really mess around when we're practicing, you know, it's pretty like, you know, yeah, we're gonna have fun and have a good time, but like when we're down or, you know, in the basement or in Drew's garage, we're getting after it. So, you know,
we basically just crush some pizza or some chicken wings or both, and fucking slam some dudes, and
hell yeah.
I'll smoke a doobie, and Rick will slam a beer, and Jimmy will just keep slamming more sodas, and we'll fucking
Sounds
go.
like the life.
get my diabetes all up and roared up and ready to go.
There you go.
My blood sugar going. Yeah. But
I said this the other day, and I thought it was funny because we all eat like fucking terrible food, and like our number one commonality, as far as all four of us is concerned, is indigestion. Like we all suffer from some version of indigestion. Like there's some foods that are just off the table for some of us.
Yeah,
and you know, some of us still eat them, like Jimmy, but.
just getting older shits for the birds, boys.
I know I can't even eat a banana anymore without getting like horrible indigestion and wanting to die.
Oh, dude, tomatoes? Yeah. What?
Yeah,
come on, man. Like fucking. Are you kidding
I'm still
me?
gonna
Like,
eat
ketchup hurts. Why? Because it's vinegar and acid, and it's just pure fucking sugar and salt. That's why. No, but I put it on fries and chicken fingers when I was a kid, and I was fine. Jesus.
Not now.
Right. Yep, not now. Not no more.
Well, I like to ask those questions behind the curtain and how you guys are making things happen with the distance between each other too, because you know a lot of folks too. You know, part of what we like to do here is encourage folks, you know, not to look at obstacles, but look at solutions whenever they're trying to play music, revive something that they had in the past or whatever the case is. And you guys are making it work still yet with the distance and everything. And I just think that's just another feather in the cap, you know, in your guys' camp, but it's something everybody can learn from, you know. Don't make the distance an excuse. And usually, you know, musicians at your guys' level too, you can do a lot and work on a lot yourself, your own. But then come prepared to practice too, you know?
Yeah, that's exactly what we have to do. You know, there's like the 4-hour distance. It's not easy, but you have to practice on your own. Like when I first joined the band, Drew was like, "Hey, I'm going to send you a new song. And I want you to tell me truthfully, like whether this is in your wheelhouse of what you want to do or if you even like it, you know, and that way I can determine on whether or not this conversation needs to go any further." And he sent me "Hey Look No Crying," which was the first song, and he was like, "Let me know what you think." So I was luckily in my car at the time, so I played it through the car, so I got the first, you know, awesome car listen of it. And I was just like, this is it. Like this rules. So definitely, you know, I'm like, I know that we've got the distance between us, but I was like, we can make it work. And so I talked to my wife about it and was like, you know, what do you think about this? And she was like, if this is something you really want to do, like I'm all for it. So, you know, we're making it work and it's awesome. So I was like, hey Drew, let's grind.
I mean, there's so many avenues at our disposal to, you know, like for example, he was mentioning "Hey Look No Crying." Obviously the like the sludgier breakdown at the end of that song, it's not, the pattern isn't as obvious as you want it to be. Yeah. Like it flows, like you can do this to it and then it's like stop. And then it's like this, you know. So I get, like, that was by design, obviously. You know, like you need rhythm in the song. But you know, when push comes to shove, having a drummer learn the footwork, you know, you know. So it was like I actually, and the bass player Rick was struggling the same too. It's just so many patterns.
Yeah,
that
it was your rhythm section.
Yeah, it was hard. It was hard for them to at first to latch on to that. And I remember like typing it up like dun 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 dun, you know. And I sent that to them, and I'm like typing it up, and it seems stupid, but like Rick still has that written down on a piece of paper,
and it helps.
You know what I mean? And it helps him, you know, just to run through like that. You know, it's phonetics, you know.
Yeah. I love
When
hearing
you're-
that because that's just so common, you know.
Oh, yeah.
When we were in bands and stuff, it's like you start to speak each other's language, and you know, like I know one band I was in at one time, we were doing like voice memos back and forth, and just going and doing the rhythms with our voice and so on. You know, it's technology has come a long way in some respects too. That it's made those things easier, but yeah, it's awesome to hear that even you guys, present day, are doing stuff like that.
Well, it's just, you know, I'm older, so there's that. But you know, I guess also right off the bat, like you know, Rick and I've known Rick forever. He grew up here. I lived with him for a long time, and right off the bat, Jimmy was in the band, and like the first couple practices we had, once he got past like throwing up a whole bunch. He was nervous all the time for some reason. Once we got past
all the greats,
once we got past all that shit, honestly, like we all three of us clicked pretty quick. As far as like, you know, the music goes, you know, 'cause obviously Fox is kind of in his own element as far as his own layer of chaos, but you know, the three of us have to be tight.
Yeah, chemistry's paramount, especially with grind music, you know, complicated odd meters and things like that you guys are implementing.
Right, but just that language, you know, like I worked with Andy for so long, you know, Andy Dalton, our previous drummer of so long.
Yeah. And
he was even doing this, you know, for our shows in the early, you know, the mid 2000s and stuff. So, or, you know, 2010s or whatever you want to say it. But, you know, I'd worked with him so long that him and I already spoke the language. You know, when I said Nevada de Qua, he knew what to do. Yeah. But, you know, and Jimmy and I have a different language now, but I think it came to fruition really quickly. So that's super neat. Thanks, Jimmy.
That's awesome.
Oh, you're welcome, pal.
We've got a question from a listener. Batman wants to know, the real Batman, apparently.
Oh, right, yeah.
Wants to know, what's the set list looking like? I know you guys talked about 4 new songs, probably playing some older songs. Anything you can detail about the set list?
Where are they going to see us at? That's the important question.
Okay,
that's a
fair question. Batman, can you get with us and tell us what show you might see?
Right. Well, I'm guessing he's from Missouri because he's saying, when are you coming to Missouri?
So, when you come to Missouri.
I don't know when we're going to come to Missouri.
No one wants to come to St. Louis.
I don't know if it'll be the same songs
I hear you.
either. So, as far as new songs, for anybody that's listening or will be listening next week or whatever, next week we're going to be in Baltimore on the 23rd. We're playing St. Vitus in New York on the 24th, up to Rochester on the 25th, and then down to Pittsburgh on the 26th. We will be playing all 3 of the singles, as well as you're going to see a music video tomorrow for This Happy Madness.
Awesome.
And it's really cool. We actually did a bunch of filming at all the shows that we've been playing over the past month since November, or September, actually. Our coming back show, we did a house show. We did this little benefit thing for Major Chords for Minors, a nice organization up by me. You know, a couple shows down. We did a home show for Jimmy down in Columbus, Indiana, Chicago, a few other shows. So we just had a bunch of footage and threw it all together. We had this dude did a really cool, almost like stop motion-y vibe in like a 90s, like MTV.
That's cool.
Style. It's really cool. I'm really excited about it.
It looks like an old, like, early 2000s skate video. It's pretty sick.
For sure.
I love that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yep,
yeah,
has that vibe for sure. Yeah, so that'll be out 9 a.m. tomorrow. That's kind of like our release feature or whatever. But it was Jimmy's favorite song, and he deserved a choice on something for putting all of this work in and learning these damn songs.
Hell yeah.
The drums are definitely a feat for sure.
Oh, yeah, without question. Yeah, and the reason for my question earlier, because that's my practice is drums. And man, you are laying down some serious beats on this album, my man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And, you know, while we're on the subject of tour, and I know you mentioned some dates here, you guys got anything in the works for anything a little bit more major, a longer run, anything you can talk about?
I don't know. We got adult jobs. I'm a mailman. He works for Chase Bank. He's a frauds person. You know, honestly, like our bass player and singer, Rick and Fox, like, we said that earlier. I think that Fox owns his own tattoo shop.
Yeah.
He's a tattoo artist, and Rick tattoos there. So I mean, like, they make their own schedule. And you know, Jim and I have a finite amount of time to take off. So
Sure.
We use it delicately.
Yeah, we're going to do everything we can. I don't know if we're going to be as fortunate to get out west per se, but
Sure.
we have some stuff in the works for May. You know, there's a couple of fests in the summer and fall that we put submissions in for. So hopefully this record gives us enough popularity to
Definitely.
get on some of that stuff. You know, those are the type of things that we're trying to do to try to maximize the time that we have. So,
Yeah.
you know, the long or the short of it is, you know, I'm fucking 40 and have a family, and I don't want to leave my dogs.
Yeah, we
Forever.
understand that for sure as fathers and having our own families, and
Sure.
you know, there's people don't think about this, but there's bands out here that are popular in the music scene, like somebody like example for Ken Mode, Canadian dudes. They can only take like 3 weeks off at a time to do tour because they all have big boy jobs too, and they can only leave the country so much and for so many times during the year. We were fortunate enough to be able to do a write up on their last album. So like, you know, as you get older and you have these responsibilities, people don't realize, but it sounds like, you know, with you guys can make the most of your moves too, as well. You know, geographically, it has to make sense for you whenever you're on tour, and please make sense of coming to Missouri if you can.
Yeah, we'll try.
It's not.
I mean,
it's not out of the question. I mean,
Yeah.
it's relatively somewhat close. I mean,
like I said,
could
we have
happen.
some stuff in May that's not necessarily going to be in that area per se, but we'll, you know, keep your eyeballs peeled.
Absolutely.
But with that said, anybody that listens to this, you know, like, when we toured back in the day, you know, I mentioned that I was in my 20s and I wasn't employed. I didn't have an actual job. I just did this, and I made enough money to get by. It's insurmountable, you know, supporting a local band, coming to their shows, or not even a local band, a touring band. You know,
Sure.
If you want to see this band from this state come to your state and play shows, like, you got to support them, you know, share their stuff on social media and share their flyer, make sure people are coming out, because like shirts and stuff that we sell at shows is what lets us do this. You know, like I said, Fox and Rick are tattoo artists. They can pick their own schedule, but if they take a week off, they just don't make that money.
Right.
You know, they still got bills to pay,
Right.
You know.
Absolutely.
And every band does, you know, and for those bands that are popular enough that get to just hit the road,
right.
you know, like the rising popularity of like bands like Lorna Shore and stuff, like, they quit their jobs and do this now.
Right.
And they're fortunate enough to. But if you want to see more bands do that, you got to get your ass out there and come to the shows, man. Support, buy shit from them. And I'm not just saying that because I'm putting a record, or we're putting a record out tomorrow. I'm saying that because, you know, every band deserves a shot at you know, touring or playing shows, man. That's why we fucking do this.
Absolutely.
That's our distraction from real life.
Speaking of buying shit, let's talk about where people can get the new album, Distractions, or any of your guys' merch. I think, Jimmy, you put up a video not too long ago about the second pressings that were getting ready to come out. Yeah. And then I saw you guys were getting hats made, and it was kind of in the vein of Tony Danza, one of our friends and previous guests on the show. Brad Sexton was one of their last drummers. Yeah. So
we slept in a sleeping bag together, Brad and I.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's nice.
But yeah, so like, you know, I'm loving what I'm seeing of the merch. You know, long sleeve tees, those are in now too. Where can we drive people toward to start buying your guys' stuff?
Yeah, so right now we have a store up on Good Fight's website. You can get all like the Distractions-centric merch specifically. Obviously, there's the vinyl up on there. We have a Death Wish exclusive too. I think last I checked, there was 40 left at Death Wish USA's website, and then there's like 80 something left at Death Wish Europe. So. We have a slew of merchandise that we got printed for this run that we're doing with Bandit next weekend. So St. Vitus and Preserving Underground, the Metro in Baltimore, and somewhere in Rochester. Anyway, we have some exclusive merch, including those hats. So it's Realtree Camo embroidered logo hats. They're fucking ridiculously cool.
Yeah, that was awesome.
We've gotten a lot of requests about them, so we have some plans of some kind of like merch pre-order type of thing coming up. We are going to dump whatever merch we have left over from this run up on a Big Cartel at the end of the month. So just be out, look for that at the end of February. We'll have some leftover shirts. We got some really rad crew necks and some screen printed posters and some really rad stuff, man. But in the coming months, we're going to be kind of we didn't want to disrupt the whole vinyl sales. Like that was our focus, was the record. We didn't want, obviously people want shirts and we want the support on shirts and stuff like that, but we wanted to really focus on that strain of stuff, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Before we started opening up like stores everywhere, but so Big Cartel is we're working on getting that going, and in the coming months we'll have a slew of stuff up there and things.
Drew and Jimmy both. Actually, Jimmy, I know you mentioned the band that you were in back in 2005 as well. Advances in social media and technology and things like that, that's totally changed the music scene, really, and how you can market yourselves. I know, there's so many social medias out there now, it almost becomes overwhelming to even manage multiple channels at once. I mean, what does it look like from your guys' perspective? Because I know we probably found you. I can't even tell you how we found out about you guys initially, probably MySpace. But, and you made that joke about the MySpace fan earlier, but nevertheless, it was a big, marketing tool for a lot of bands back in the day.
It was.
And I know that social media is now still yet, but it's almost like, oversaturation in the market. There's so many social medias out there. And I know you guys are kind of focusing more toward like Facebook and Instagram. But, just kind of talk about how things change, what kind of difficulties you guys are seeing getting back in the swing of things.
I don't know. I mean,
we don't Twitter. I can tell you that.
Yeah,
we don't know how. We're old. We don't know how.
Not even, man. I mean, like that was just one that I was just like, well, I don't. Here's the thing. Fox and I, are not public people at all. Like I don't really social media like myself. I personally take care of our Facebook. That's it. I don't even have an Instagram. I don't have any other social media whatsoever. I've always just stuck to Facebook because, local gigs and stuff. I was in local bands and things.
Sure.
And like, it's just easy to share events and find out what's going on and look at menus.
Right.
So like I'm old. That's important to me. I don't need to send a picture of me with bunny ears to somebody, so.
Yeah.
I have no desire to learn anything else, so I put Instagram in the hands of Jimmy, and Fox pretty much. Jimmy's pretty much taking the reins on that. Fox is the busiest human being ever, it's weird for Fox and I specifically because we're not much of people.
How about you, Jimmy? Have you kind of stayed engaged over the years with kind of the advances in social media and all that? I know he'd mentioned you're running the Instagram page. How's it changed things for you over time as a musician, would you say?
I mean, it's a great place to network, especially like, I've played in a ton of bands over the last few years, and it's been a helpful tool, I think, for networking, to getting to know other musicians and stuff like that.
Yeah.
A lot of the bands that I've played in, I did a show, met somebody at the show that was in another band, became friends on social media, stayed in touch, and if after a while of something not working out, you leave that situation, and someone says, "Man, we really need a drummer, and do we know anybody?" And let's ask this guy, and is he already in 15 other bands? And the answer is always yes.
Yeah.
And so, I've been, the MySpace was like obviously something I had. I've always done Facebook and Instagram. So, I have a vinyl page that I have on Instagram that I share pictures of my records and a lot of stuff with the band that I'm doing and my other band that I play in. So, I kind of keep up with that. And, with the record being released tomorrow, we've done a lot of social media boosting. So I've been, really active on the band's Instagram page, replying back to people, sharing stuff, storying, storying
trying to
stuff
engage
is
our fans.
Yeah, we have a lot of people who are just so psyched on this record.
Yeah, it's crazy.
People, there's somebody, I actually shared it not long ago tonight. Someone actually, I think in another country, already has heard the record. Like, I think it's out, like, maybe in their neck of the woods.
Yeah, because it goes live at midnight, and it goes live at midnight UTC, which is Universal Time Code, which Universal Time Code's, like, Britain, right? Because I can go to, like, the Spotify. I can go to the Spotify app. Yeah. If I go to the Spotify for Artists app, like, each song has almost 50 plays.
Hey. Yeah. That's crazy.
Okay.
Yeah, I noticed that a little while ago, so I was like, "Oh man, shit's out there." But then again, like we had somebody send us a picture. They got their vinyl today. Like
that's awesome.
Their record and cassette that they had ordered already came in, first pressing stuff. So like, UPS did their fucking job. That's for sure.
Yeah.
One of us did their job. I have some dogs that are clearly upset about something.
Yeah, they wish they threw a track down on the album. They're getting back at you.
Yeah.
Drew, I got you too. I did want to ask you one last question. Do you think that See You Next Tuesday, let's say that it started present day, knowing kind of the current climate that we're in and just people's sensitivities nowadays. I know the brand of humor that you guys had back in the day, and I think it was well received by us and many others. However, do you think See You Next Tuesday probably would have been as successful if they started today and would have been able to get off the ground with some of, some of the absurdities to be absurd at times that you guys were known for?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think, I don't know, maybe it's just because I live in small town Michigan, but I mean, like,
sure.
I talked to some Scottish dudes the other day, and, they were talking about how cunt's just like, that's like saying the.
Yeah.
That's how frequently that word is put into sentences in some countries. But, I mean, like, the opening track, how insensitive, right? You listen to that track. Those are all blind interviews that I did with coworkers from my job. Like, I had them come to my house, and I told them, I coached them a little bit beforehand, but didn't tell them what they're going to talk about. I just said that it's about swearing. Just make sure you use swear words in the words in your answers, because you're being recorded, not me asking questions. And then we just went for it. And the first question I asked people was, "Are you offended by the word cunt?" And if you listen to the voices kind of trailing off in that song, they're like, "Nah, I'm not really offended by the word. It's just a word,
Yeah.
And that's the whole point to that song.
Right. Right.
Or I don't know if you call it a song per se, track. That track.
Yeah.
Is to remove the power from the word. It doesn't have to be an ugly word.
Sure.
There's literally countries in this world that just call their buddies a cunt. Like, hey,
right.
Get up, you fucking cunt. Whatever, man. Like, it's not a big deal. There's certain words that will forever go down as words you don't say out loud, and I understand that.
Yeah.
But I don't. Cunt's not one of them. It's brash. Don't get me wrong, but
sure.
It's it's. I don't know, because of its wide acceptance in certain countries.
Sure.
I don't because Australia is the same way. Australia, South Africa, they're similar. But like the certain not cuss words, but racist
Words that are
slurs.
taboo, to their
Yeah,
story.
like it's not that, like
Right.
those are words that, like, in no context is it okay to say.
Right.
There are those words, and I
Yeah.
don't feel cunt checks that box, And if
Right.
it pisses a couple people off, a couple Karens out there get real upset about it. Good,
Well,
like it's fucking
yeah.
grindcore.
You're
like,
weeding them out. Yeah.
We're not the brand of music that, like, you're out to dinner with your family celebrating your cousin's 16th birthday. You don't go,
Right.
oh man, you listen to the new cunt record? It's
Yeah.
great, right? You know what I mean? Like, we're not Taylor Swift. You
Right.
know?
Not going to be blasting at Starbucks when you're making a triple multi latte, probably. Or whatever.
Yeah, I say it all the time.
Never
Like,
know.
Taylor Swift is ingested by 96% of the population. Grindcore is probably less than 1% of the world's population that actually fucking likes the genre. So,
Sure.
it's my fault for liking it. So that's what my brain produces, and I've come to terms with that. So it is what it is. But no, yeah, I don't think it would matter. No, to answer your question.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's a question in a vacuum. I mean, you generally like to ask people, particularly in your guys' situation.
Now, if Anal Cunt came out in 2023,
yeah,
No, that wouldn't.
I don't know if that one might not.
yeah. Where do we put the breaking point?
There are certain words that they didn't feel to censor, so. We at least have class.
Absolutely, without question. So, if you didn't catch it already, Distractions releases this February 17th, tomorrow, Friday. As you're watching this tonight at midnight, absolutely. By the time most of you hear this album will already be streaming on all platforms. Be sure, I always look at the streaming services. That's kind of your marketing vehicle nowadays. That's where people can go and taste you. And if they like what they taste, they can come buy the merch. They can support you guys, physical media, so on and so forth. And, of course, via Good Fight Music and a cool relationship. I didn't know that those were the guys from Ferret, too, as you detailed earlier.
Yeah, that's cool.
So it's kind of funny how things just kind of work out.
It just had to happen that way, It was really their choice.
So other avenues, as Drew mentioned, Death Wish Inc. I believe Death Wish Inc. in the UK also is supporting and selling your guys' album too.
Europe, so I think they're somewhere in Germany or something.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Death Wish Europe is what they go by.
But so I mean, you guys have been so generous with your time. We appreciate the talk today.
You.
And
You're really complimentary, and again, I may seem off-put by it, but it's really pleasant here.
Well,
So thank you.
all of us ever knowing about you guys in the past was just videos and things that we had seen and interviews that you'd done. It always seemed like cool guys that would have fit into our little party scene back in the day without question. And enjoying the music was kind of just the cherry on the sundae, if you will. So it's nice to know that good dudes are behind the good times and good music, and I just can't thank you guys enough. Yeah, absolutely. It all works. Checking every box. Everybody, get out and support these guys. Go see them at a show, buy their merch, listen to their music.
Yes.
These are good dudes. Let's support them.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is Barrett from the ATI Podcast. Each week, Josh and I discuss current events, pop culture, music, TV, movies, politics, sports. Nothing is out of bounds. You can also tune in to learn about rising artists, small businesses. Whether it's music, graphic design, filmmaking, or even a brick-and-mortar mom-and-pop shop, we will be spotlighting folks and their endeavors. Listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Anchor, or anywhere you enjoy your podcasts. Just search ATI Podcast. We would like to thank you for your continued support, and as always, please stay safe out there.
Hey, this is Josh from ATI Podcast. For show updates and news about the podcast, follow us on social media. You can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/ATI Podcast 22, on Twitter at podcast_ATI, on Instagram at the ATI Podcast, on TikTok at ATI Podcast. DMs are always welcome. Have a question for the show? You can always email us at atipodcastquestions@gmail.com. Stay safe out there.